Hi there, welcome back to my channel. This old Tamiya kit is doing very well actually, but I wanted to make it more interesting. I have a few ideas and that includes making the Halftrack look sturdy and used. We're going to do a little bit of everything. Some oil filtering, hairspray, paintbrush detailing, dusting, splatter, and some pigments. You can see here that I started by dusting the model. This steps includes using a weathered product from Ammo MIG that I mix it with Tamiya enamel thinner. Using a small flat brush, I added the mix to corners and areas where there's a lot of human traffic. The second step is when I use the airbrush, and this includes making a very thin mix of Tamiya buff, mixing the paint with the thinners, and the focus area for my spraying is actually the lower part of the vehicle. This is basically to imitate the layer of dry dust that you like to find at underside of cars or trucks and vehicles like that. Well, the next step is the filters. I did this by slightly altering the color of the basic paint, which is olive drab. Many times models with single color paints are very boring, and to make the single color more interesting, I use oil colors to break that monotone. And by doing this, hopefully I can slightly alter the base color so they are a little bit different from other areas of the model. And I started by placing tiny dots of oil paints on the surface. Then I would blend them using a flat brush and using Tamiya enamel thinner. I'm going to stop here on the weathering and switch to detailing the piloting tool. I use Tamiya acrylics, thin using Mr. Rabbit thinner. Now, Mr. Rabbit thinner is a product of Gunze, and Mr. Rabbit helps thin the acrylics, making it easier to brush. The thinner helps the acrylics coagulate very slowly, and that gives you more time to brush using, that gives you more time to paint using the brush. Another method I'm using is the hairspray dusting. Now, hairspray is a very popular technique, and many videos in YouTube have covered this approach. I like the techniques as it is great for weathering. You know how dusty vehicles get scraped or smudged, tree branches, human activities, equipment, and so forth. They usually leave marks, and they disrupt the dusty surface, and that's what I'm trying to replicate. A bit of disclaimer, before I did any of this thing, I did my research on the M16 and M3 or M4 Halftrack. I went through YouTube videos, I collected images on Flickr and Pinterest, and I was particularly looking for weathered examples of the real thing. That include paint discoloration, dust accumulations, rain marks, and mud splatters, and so forth. Specifically for this model, what I'm using is what you call a gunmetal pigment, and I've used this approach on many of my builds. It's very simple to apply, and I like how the end results. I like how I like the appearance of it. The only downside is that once applied, you should not touch that surface again. The last bit of work is basically doing like a mud splatter. I usually apply this technique during the final phase of the weathering, and there are several ways to do this. You could manually flicker the brush or using compressed air. But as I am working on a very small area, I needed more control, and that's why I'm using a small brush and flickering them by hand. The Tamiya M16 is old. You know, you could trace back the kit from the 1970s, but it builds into a nice, attractive kit. Even without any weathering, the kit can stand on its own. But like some of you, perhaps, I like to give my models extra points of interest. And one of them is by giving it a proper weathering. That's all for now, and hope you like the short tutorial. See you soon. Bye for now.